This is the It's Giving Mystical podcast, and this is your podcast for the week ahead, the week of May 2nd. We just finished off that Taurus New Moon. It was asking you to come back to your body, like asking you to re-engage your senses. It's interesting to think about how vision-based we are. When you sit in meditation and you kind of explore your other senses and you begin to perceive your life from these 5 other places, these 5 different dimensions, you notice things. You notice things that maybe you take for granted, or maybe you're just a little more unconscious of, or maybe your experience of the world is just a little more narrow. And so I really encourage you around this time of manifesting, to visualize and to meditate on these other senses, on your other senses, and how they might be hungry for your attention, how your body might be calling to you to come back home, come back to me. Notice where I am. Notice what's beautiful about our life. Notice what we crave more of. Notice what's true. So that is a beautiful invitation that's with us. Great moment to write yourself a letter. I think it's November 5th will be the corresponding full moon in Taurus. So what do you want to do between now and then? What is being asked of you? And really, not what you think you're supposed to do, and not what sounds good on the Pinterest board, but what are you craving? What are you hungry for? What is your body really asking of you, from you, with you in this next 6-month period? Taurus is ruled by Venus, obviously. And so there's a lot of conversations around pleasure, around connection, around love, around money, all of these beautiful themes that circle around the planet Venus. And the other thing that's happening is that we have entered into May. So May is going to bring with us Hierophant energy. And I think it was, let me check. Temperance. Yes. Okay. So Hierophant and Temperance. It's so interesting that the Pope will be chosen on May 7th. The conclave will begin, if I have my dates right. And the Hierophant is the card of the Pope. What does the Pope represent? It's interesting. People have such a strong reaction to the Hierophant because he tends to hold the charge of tradition and institution and the church. And obviously, many people who are exploring their own self-becoming, self-realization have had some experience with religion that has worked for them or hasn't worked for them, or has opened up parts of their life and constricted other parts of their life. So interesting that the Pope is on the table, so to speak, and that the Temperance card is really going to ask for us to think about balance. And the Temperance card is the card of Sagittarius. It's also the alchemist. And more importantly, from my perspective, it's temperance, right? Patience. Temper yourself, calm yourself, lean back, see what's happening. But then also, it's such an invitation from the universe to co-create. So the Temperance card is the alchemist because it's taking something that is and it's changing form. It's becoming something new. And that happens from your intention and your presence. Really, keyword is presence there. But it's also happening because something is wanted from you, with you, around you. And my mom, it's her favorite card. And I love whenever this card comes up, I just really feel her there in that moment. She used to tell me about this dream she had where the angel said to her, there's no stone laid on your path without purpose. Meaning on the gravel road, every stone is just so. So whatever happens for you this week ahead, this month ahead, just notice how it has its own divine orchestration, how there's a harmony present that may or may not feel consistent with what you've known. That doesn't mean it's not its own song, it's not its own harmony. The Magician week, how was that for you? I wonder how you could already begin to feel these energies coming into play. The Hierophant, how we bridge ourselves to the divine. That's really the way I think of the Hierophant. The Pope is one way to think about that, but the Pope's just kind of an easy representation of the one that sits between heaven and earth. So I like to think of it as a bridge energy. The Hierophant is inviting us to understand who we've said knows more of God than we have. Who do you put in a position of power to say, well, they know, they're closer to God. They understand spirit. They speak to the universe more than me. The invitation is to always kind of see that and realize that there's power given there. And not that there's anything wrong with that, but at what point is it time to pull that back? At what point is it time to sit with what's your own magic that wants to create it. This is where the Temperance card and the Hierophant overlap. Like there's so much about both of these cards that talk about external divinity, external sacredness. And the mirror, the reflection is always, and what about you? And what about you? Where is that feel good that you're kind of reaching out with that power, gifting that power out? And where does that power need to be gifted back into your own body, into your own experience of the world? I had a very hard time pulling a card today, which is really interesting. That doesn't normally happen. And many cards came up, and a lot of the cards that came out had to do with tenderness. There's a lot of like energy. I'm not going to go through exactly what, but there was energy. There were cards that were coming out that were speaking to like, just be gentle. For some reason, this might not be the easiest week, and it might be something you expect. It might be something you don't expect, but just in terms of your heart, there might be some ache there. So there's a invitation to really go slow with yourself, to honor whatever you're feeling. And again, even if it doesn't quite make sense, even if you can't quite say, well, this is why I feel this way, there's stuff getting churned up. There's old stuff that's coming out, and it's like it's leaching itself out into the air in a good way, meaning the universe, the air, the breeze, the wind will carry it. You can be done with it. The ground takes it from you. But that doesn't mean it doesn't need to come out. It needs to come up and out, like it needs to move. And so there might be these kind of memories or feelings or a little bit of heartache in the week ahead. But with that, I pulled the Page of Wands, and the Page of Wands is really speaking to holding your energy in a new way. Those two things you can see go hand in hand, right? If we imagine these old like wisps or breezes or channels of pain or difficulty or challenge that we've had to work with are trying to like off gas. That's kind of a weird like word to use, but that's the way I see it in my brain. They're trying to kind of release and lift off and lift away the shedding of the skin, but it's a energetic movement. And you can see that the Page of Wands would be left standing there like, oh, interesting. This feels tender, but I don't feel quite attached to it the way I used to feel attached to it. That's interesting. That's a transition. That's new. Where is my balance, again, temperance, between like honoring what was and letting it kind of move through and move away, and then also being really tender and protective around what is new and what is mine to cultivate. And the Page of Wands, right, is the first one to get the ace. So it's like the spark. It's like God said, and we just had the Ace of Wands, didn't we? All right. Oh, universe, you're so clever. So we just had that Ace of Wands, that spark, that, interesting, that's on my mind, that's on my heart, that gets me excited, that gets my blood pumping, I'm kind of interested in that, I'm curious about that. And then the Page is the first one to hold it. And such a blessing, such a gift to be the one that gets to hold it. So the Page of Wands gets to hold it, and they're not sure what to do, and they're a little bit in awe of this new possibility. They're excited about it. Maybe they feel a little attached to it or a little like hungry for it. And that Ace of Wands or that Page of Wands is here this week to just say, it's new, baby. Like it's new. So take your time and let yourself sink into it. It reminds me a bit of that atomic habits idea that I've talked about before, where in the beginning, when something is new, it's not that you need to like optimize the habit or optimize the change. You need to just habitualize the change. So if you want to start moving more, you don't need to do 4 hours of movement a day. You need to start moving a little bit every day. Make it something that you're committed to. So first it becomes a habit, and then you can optimize the habit, right? Like with creativity, first you actually put pen to paper. First you put the paint on the page, and then you optimize your skills, right? Then you kind of feel into what else wants to happen. But you can't feel into what else wants to happen until it's actually part of your reality, until you're actually moving in that direction. That feels like it's here with this Page of Wands. So again, old things finishing their off gassing. I know it's kind of a weird thing, but I literally can picture it like steaming off of you, steaming off of us. And so we're letting that happen. There's maybe a little bit of, oh, that's comfortable and familiar. So even though I want it to go, don't go. So that might be happening. And at the same time, there's this spark, this newness that you feel as something precious, feel as something precious. And so this desire to stay with it, to like protect it. Along those lines, this is a week not to really discuss your plans with people. This is a week that's going to benefit from you doing what you need to do, not talking about what you're going to do. And that doesn't mean, I'm not a big fan of secrets. Like, secrets are our sickness. I really believe that. But privacy, protection, containership, sacred space, yes, 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 yes. So, whatever this new flame is, imagine yourself kind of fueling it in some way. Does it need to be protected from the wind? Does it need a little air on it? Like, what needs to happen alchemically for this flame to mm, become something sustainable, become something that gives off its own light and heat and has a chance, like has a chance to keep going. And there's something about that energy that I'm hearing in my mind that needs to be protected and honored in its newness, just like your skin, whatever this becoming that you're in the midst of. It doesn't necessarily need to be talked about. There's Kim Krantz said that in our class together, our time together. She would talk about the gates of the body. Is something you may or may not be familiar with, right? But I think a woman has 8 gates and a man has 7. There's these gates of the body that are these energy exchanges, and and we are leaky, particularly with our words, says the woman speaking on her podcast. But we can kind of leak energy. If you've ever been with someone who has to fill the space with talk, have you had that experience? It can be a drain. It can actually not feel good. Even though it's gifting movement, words, ideas to the space, when it's sourced in something anxious, it can feel exhausting. I feel that. I imagine you have had that experience as well. There's something about drawing back and retaining some of that energy for yourself, retaining yourself, like pulling back. So, being thoughtful about your words this week, being thoughtful about what you're sharing, and being thoughtful about who you're sharing this with. If you know there are certain people, communities, relationships that are not going to be fully on board with whatever you're doing, or you feel a little bit protective of what you're doing in their presence, trust that. Like, trust yourself. There's something about staying with you, staying with your tender heart, staying with not feeling like you're abandoning yourself, like just kind of staying with this new flame and letting the kind of thing that needs to steam away, letting it steam away, but not feeling like you're the doer, you're the mover. That's the Temperance card will always remind us of that. We are powerful beings. That's the Magician. And the Temperance card is like you are a powerful being, and you are also one of many. You also exist in a grid of light and magic and energy that is the world. So taking responsibility for ourselves, but also not thinking we are the doer of all things, we are the maker of all things. Remember that the world is alive. Like, remember that the world is alive. And what does David White say? Everything, everything, everything is waiting for you. Turn to the world. This comes back to that senses thing. Like, open your senses to the world and notice that the world is alive, and notice that you are not alone, and notice that there is a flow happening, a movement happening, and the world like wants you on board. It wants you on the river. It wants you coasting with it. It wants you building with it. It wants you creating with it. That might not happen via language this week. That might be an energetic. That might be a satisfaction. That might be a pleasure that happens in terms of opening your awareness to the other senses, the other possibilities in the world. All right. So with you, there's energy this week. I really can feel this kind of coming and going, this building, tending, and releasing all at the same time. Very Temperance energy, and that's okay. Like, that's what we're here for. We're here for the living. We're here to live our life while we're alive, right? And that's what's being asked of us in this moment. And this negotiation, this kind of resettling into a new shape is part of that moment. This becoming familiar with our new skin is part of this moment. This opening our awareness to something wider than what we've experienced before is part of this movement, part of this awareness. I leave you with that. I send you so much love. And yeah, just last reminder, tender with yourself, easy with yourself, stay with yourself. Don't feel the need to explain yourself. You're working to create something new. You're working to hold your energy in a new way. It takes patience, it takes time, and it takes like protection. Like, you deserve the quietness in order to get to know who you are now, to get to know that and to tend to it and to honor it, whatever shape it's taking. Sending you so much love and all the space you need in the week ahead. Bye.